On Days of Our Lives today, Wednesday, August 6th, 2025, Sophia worries her plan is falling apart. Paulina and Gabi testify at Johnny's trial, and EJ goes on the offensive. In Horton Town Square, Tate spotted Belle and asked why she had a bag with her. Belle explained she was staying at the Salem Inn while Sammy was in town. She wanted to avoid her sister since she was prosecuting Sammy's son and dating her ex. Belle also thought it best to spare Marlena the sight of her daughters brawling in her home. She turned the subject to the baby's adoption and asked Tate how he felt about Sophia's decision. Tate confided that he was upset that he didn't get the chance to meet his child. Belle offered him a listening ear anytime he wanted to talk. Tate thanked her and inquired how Belle was feeling about the trial. Belle said she kept calm by trying to focus on being fair. Tate realized he should be taking the same approach in his situation. He wanted to be more selfless and be a source of support for Sophia. Belle commended Tate's perspective and bid her nephew a fond goodbye as she left to prepare for the trial. At the bistro, Paulina chowed down on her meal with Abe while fretting about her stress eating. She was worried she would put my foot in it and give testimony at Johnny's trial that would help send him to prison. She also felt guilty for getting the whole process of Johnny's arrest started. Abe reassured Paulina that she had only been doing her job. Paulina's stress increased when she received an unexpected call from the Attorney General's office. After she ended the call, Paulina updated Abe on the conversation. The Attorney General had relayed to Paulina that he would be keeping a close watch on the trial and would be sending a representative to observe the proceedings in person. If Belle didn't properly fulfill her duties, she would be disbarred. At Rafe's house, Rafe joined Leo at the kitchen table while the reporter groused about the boring coverage of Johnny's trial in The Spectator. Leo also complained about the measly pay he was getting for serving as a juror. When Gabi strode into the room in a conservative dress, Leo cracked, "It's like Laura Ingalls Wilder has risen from the dead." An annoyed Gabi clarified she was testifying at Johnny's trial, which Leo should have known. Leo mused that nothing about the trial was normal. Both the DA and the defense attorney wanted the defendant acquitted, after all. Gabi and Leo bantered about how he had ended up on the jury and whether he could be objective. Leo thought Gabi and he had reached a truce after Ariana's kidnapping. Gabi acknowledged Leo could be kind when he wasn't acting like an insensitive nincompoop. She apologized for the remark and admitted she was nervous about incurring EJ's wrath after she testified. Rafe stepped in and suggested that Leo and Gabi conclude their talk about the trial. Leo conceded and went upstairs to say goodbye to Javi and Tesoro. When they were alone, Rafe told Gabi that he would be there for support at the trial and encouraged his sister to focus on giving truthful testimony instead of worrying about EJ. At the Dimera mansion, EJ gave Johnny a pep talk as father and son prepared for the trial. EJ reminded Johnny he'd have to be ruthless, no matter what it takes. Johnny requested that his dad take it easy on Paulina when he cross-examined her for Chanel's sake. EJ urged Johnny to keep your eye on the ball and to let him take care of the rest. The baseball metaphor prompted Johnny to reflect on his visit with Sammy and his mom's love for John. Johnny conveyed how happy Sammy had been to hear that EJ and he had made amends. EJ shared the sentiment and suggested Johnny and he go to court and hit it out of the ballpark. Johnny joked that his dad couldn't pull off the metaphors quite like John. Later, at the courthouse, Johnny and EJ greeted Paulina, who asked for a word with the attorney. When Johnny went inside the courtroom, Paulina warned EJ to back the hell off, trying to make Belle Johnny's friendly prosecutor. An unmoved EJ cautioned Paulina that he wasn't going to go easy on her on the stand and stalked off before Paulina could tell him about the Attorney General's call. Just then, Belle arrived. Paulina took her aside and informed Belle she'd had an important talk with the Attorney General. Later, when the trial resumed in the courtroom, Belle began her questioning of Paulina. She got Paulina to recount Chanel's state of mind the night of the shooting and asked Paulina if Chanel had been worried Johnny would inflict violence on his father. EJ objected, so Belle reframed the question to ask what Chanel had been concerned about specifically. Paulina expressed that Chanel had been worried because Johnny was in a bad place with EJ at the time. Both Chanel and she had been relieved when Johnny had returned home that night. Belle then asked Paulina how Johnny had reacted when they had received the call about EJ's shooting. "He said he got what he deserved," Paulina reluctantly admitted. The jury, including Leo, visibly reacted. Belle pressed Paulina on where Johnny claimed he had been the night of the shooting. Paulina conceded that Johnny had lied at first by saying he had been at the park. Johnny had eventually confessed to Paulina and Chanel that he had gone to the Dimera mansion to confront his father with a gun. EJ rose for his cross-examination and, right out of the gate, asked Paulina if she had also considered confronting him. Belle objected, but the judge allowed the question. Paulina said she had considered it. "Did you confront me that night to shoot me in cold blood?" EJ challenged. Paulina vehemently denied the allegation. EJ switched tactics and asked Paulina if she believed Johnny's claims that he hadn't shot his father. "With all my heart, I do," Paulina affirmed. Johnny smiled, touched by her assertion. Next to the stand was Gabi. Belle asked her to recount the events that had unfolded the night of the shooting. Gabi admitted she had been lurking outside with the intent to confront EJ about what he had done to her brother Rafe. She had heard men shouting and had realized after some time that the voices had belonged to EJ and Johnny. EJ, during the exchange, had implored, "You don't want to do this, put the gun down." Johnny had insisted, "It's what you deserve." The audience erupted in commotion, and the judge called for order in the court. Belle asked Gabi if she had witnessed anything else. Gabi recalled seeing Ava Vital, another suspect, flee from the estate. Gabi had not seen Johnny leave, though. EJ glared at Gabi. EJ approached the stand for his cross and pondered why Gabi had waited so long to come forward with what she knew. Gabi acknowledged she hadn't wanted to put herself at the scene of a crime. EJ needled her until she confessed she had borrowed Rafe's gun that night and had the weapon with her on scene. EJ suggested Ava might have doubled back, or that Gabi had taken the initiative herself to shoot him in cold blood. Gabi responded with hostile defiance and reminded EJ that Johnny's gun had been identified as the weapon. EJ mused that Gabi might have picked up the discarded weapon in order to frame Johnny. Gabi, as EJ gleefully informed the jury, was a convicted felon. When Gabi protested she had been innocent of those crimes, EJ concluded, "You are far from innocent." EJ returned to his table and conferred with Johnny, assuring his son that they had come out on top. After the trial was paused for a lunch break, EJ gave Belle an apology for the strain the trial had placed on her and on their relationship. He asked her not to doubt his love and wished for just a few moments that would allow them to get away from it all. Belle mentioned she was staying at the Salem Inn and discreetly slipped her keycard to EJ. "See you soon," she said with a suggestive smile. EJ watched her go with a pleased grin on his face. Outside in the corridor, Johnny, Paulina, and Abe chatted. Johnny assured Paulina he had no ill will toward her testimony and thanked her for publicly declaring her belief in his innocence. She expressed hope that the jury likewise believed Johnny. He expressed the same hope. Back at Rafe's house, Gabi ranted about EJ's cross-examination as Rafe and she returned home. Rafe reassured Gabi that EJ wasn't trying to pin another crime on her, but was only attempting to create reasonable doubt for Johnny. Gabi posed the question of whether her brother still believed in Johnny's innocence. In Melinda's office, Sophia arrived and called out for Melinda, only to be greeted by stacks of empty boxes. She received a call from Tate and braced herself before answering. He wanted the address of the baby's adoptive parents so he could send a gift for his daughter. Sophia claimed she'd have to get the address from her lawyer and ended the call, panicked. When Melinda eventually came into the office, Sophia filled her in on the confrontation with Sarah. Sophia wasn't sure she could keep the lie going. Melinda reminded her that if Sophia came forward, she might have to raise the baby. Sophia brought up her other emergency, the call with Tate. Melinda promised Sophia she would take care of it. Later, outside the Brady pub, Tate approached Sophia and apologized for making the adoption fallout about him. He asked how she was doing, and Sophia claimed she was okay. Tate invited her for lunch, and Sophia gladly accepted. Things quickly got awkward, however, when they sat down for lunch and Tate asked Sophia to tell him about the adoptive parents. Sophia suggested Tate move on, but Tate said he couldn't. He wanted to meet the parents, and he wanted to meet his baby. Sophia insisted he couldn't do either because they had both signed away their parental rights. It would only be harder for Tate to let go. Tate wondered why Sophia seemed so adamant about him not meeting the baby. "What are you keeping from me?" he asked of a wide-eyed Sophia. She reiterated that she was only worried about Tate's well-being. She considered his fixation on a child they hadn't intended to have or to keep unhealthy. Tate appreciated Sophia's concern, but remained steadfast in his desire to send a gift to the baby and to meet her. Tate wanted to write a letter to the adoptive parents requesting a meeting. Later, back outside the pub, Sophia called Melinda and frantically updated her on Tate's requests. Melinda said she had set up a P.O. box for the parents and pledged to Sophia that they were still in control. Meanwhile, in Horton Town Square, Tate picked up a toy Leo had dropped from Tesoro's stroller. Leo thanked him and gushed about Tesoro and how he thought the baby was even beginning to look like him. Leo asked Tate about his baby. Tate gave a brief recap of the adoption and lamented how he hadn't gotten an opportunity to see his child, while ironically staring at Tesoro. The baby started fussing, and Leo inquired if Tate would like to hold him. Here are your Days of Our Lives spoilers for Thursday, August 7th, 2025. Belle had no problem inviting EJ back to her Salem Inn room while the court was in recess. The morning had been stressful for both of them, and they could each use a stress reliever. Things get hot and heavy when Belle and EJ make it to the hotel room, but this could all be a part of EJ's strategy. Perhaps EJ wants to get Belle in a compromising position to accomplish his goal, getting Johnny acquitted and finding the real person who tried to kill him. He refused to tell Johnny what he was really up to, but hinted that he might have to hurt someone for the greater good. When they get back to court, EJ is set to make a shocking move that could alter the trial's outcome. Needless to say, Belle will be furious, but a father has to do what a father has to do. Courtroom fireworks are sure to erupt. Gabi is all in on Tony's plan to win Demira Enterprises back from the Kyriakis brothers, but she has to cozy up to Xander to do it. Since Xander and Gabi had been becoming quite friendly lately, Gabi had thought this would be a piece of cake. However, Xander was a bit suspicious when she started making eyes at him and invited him for dinner. Xander finally agrees to have a meal with Gabi, so it's showtime. At the bistro, Gabi gets to work trying to get Xander to trust her. She starts by taking him into his confidence and telling her some of her deepest secrets, or at least what she claims are her deepest secrets. Does she also ply him with booze? Xander has no idea that he is being ambushed as part of a big Demira plan. Back at the mansion, Tony and Anna look up at Stefano's portrait and toast to this latest corporate plot, while seeing dollar signs before their eyes. Sophia lets herself into Melinda's office, which is full of boxes, but no Trask. And that's just when Tate calls to tell her Rachel bought a baby gift, so he needs the address for the adoptive parents. Sophia doesn't have the address, but she'll reach out to her lawyer. Speaking of whom, Melinda finally shows up, and Sophia tells her about Sarah's snooping. Melinda didn't think about Sophia's own doctor figuring out that she's lying, but that's fine. HIPAA's keeping Sarah's lips sealed. Sophia spirals over the lie, but Melinda just tells her to breathe and she'll handle it. Tate, meanwhile, jumps up from the bench to greet Aunt Belle, who's staying away from Marlena's since Sammy's visiting. Sigh. If only we could see her. Tate's doesn't get why Sammy would be upset since Belle was forced into prosecuting Johnny, but his aunt points out that her sister doesn't always react rationally. But hey, Belle just has to push through and get this all over with, for the greater good. That hits Tate, who realizes maybe he's been selfish about this baby stuff and should be more worried about the greater good, i.e., how Sophia's doing. At the bistro, Paulina's bouncing between stress-starving and stress-eating over testifying. She doesn't know how she can live with herself if Johnny gets wrongly convicted. Things go from bad to worse when the Attorney General calls. He's watching the trial very closely. Well, someone from his office is. They'll be in court today, and if Belle screws up, she's disbarred. Over a case she tried to recuse herself from and was forced to take. Leo's reading through the Spectator's coverage of Johnny's trial and, naturally, hates it all. As he's going off about it, Gabi stomps into the room and tells him to shut up. She's in a bad mood since she's testifying. Leo didn't know that. But isn't a juror chatting up a witness problematic? Then again, as Leo does point out, everything about this trial is messed up. Gabi snaps at Leo again, then dials it back and apologizes, saying she's just nervous about today. Eventually, Rafe realizes how inappropriate this all is and tells them to stop talking about the trial. Common sense is nice. Before leaving the mansion, EJ prepares Johnny for another day of ruthlessness in court. Johnny's not sure he likes this idea, but EJ knows what's best, naturally. Still, Johnny wants him to go easy on Paulina. Things turn tender as they catch up a bit about John and Sammy's visit, so they too are in better spirits by the time they leave for the courthouse. Paulina's waiting outside the courtroom when EJ and Johnny walk by, and she wishes her son-in-law luck. She wants to talk to EJ, but he tells her that's inappropriate. She's a witness for Belle. She's also the mayor, she tells him, and he needs to back the hell off Belle. Sure, EJ shrugs, then goes inside, at which point Belle conveniently walks by, and Paulina says she has something to tell her. Cut to inside, and Belle questions Paulina on the stand about Johnny's anger towards EJ. Then Belle pushes her to admit Johnny refused to visit his father in the hospital and declared his dad got what he deserved. Everyone in the courtroom looks upset, including Leo. Is this the first time we've actually seen him in the jury? Belle digs in some more, then turns Paulina over to EJ, who has her admit that she was also angry with him, like everyone in town. Then, do you believe Johnny when he says he's innocent? Paulina does. With all her heart, she does. Next up, Belle asks Gabi about her visit to the mansion and hearing Johnny and EJ arguing the night of the shooting. When Gabi gets to EJ, telling Johnny to put the gun down, the court erupts in gasps. Oh! And she also saw Ava Vitali leaving, which seems like something Belle wouldn't want to get out there. You know that another suspect was there that night? EJ questions Gabi about the gun she had that night and gets her to admit the fact that she could have misidentified the speaker talking to EJ and, as expected, has her admit Ava could have doubled back and shot him. He starts badgering Gabi, saying she could have even done it, until Belle finally tells the judge to make him stop. She does, and they break. Tate runs into Sophia outside the pub and apologizes for not being kind to her since the birth. How is she doing? I'm fine, she tells him, then agrees to join him in the pub for lunch. Breakfast? What time is it? It was, as you'd expect, a terrible idea because Tate has questions about the parents. Sophia just tells him they've got to live with what happened, but Tate can't. He's obsessing over it, so it's time to meet the parents and their daughter. Sophia looks suitably horrified and tells him this will just make things worse for him. The baby's not his anymore. And honestly, Sophia may be lying, but she has a point in telling him he's fixating on a baby that we didn't even mean to have. But nothing in Salem is easy, so Tate refuses to let this go until he sees the baby. Sophia heads outside and calls Melinda to tell her Tate wants to write a letter to the parents asking to meet. That's fine, Melinda shrugs. Let him write the letter, she'll respond as the parents and tell him, no. Problem solved. Tate runs into Leo in the square pushing Tesoro around. Leo asks about Tate's baby and the teen, while staring at his own baby, gets all sad and morose. Leo offers to let Tate hold the baby, and the oblivious dad takes to it like a duck to water. Gabi and Rafe get home, where she goes off about EJ, panicking about getting blamed for something she didn't do. Again, Paulina apologizes to Johnny, out in the court hall, and he reassures her it's fine. She just hopes the jury finds him as innocent as she knows he is. Inside, EJ offers his own apology to Belle for how hard this is. He loves her so much. Belle folds fast and gives him a key card to her room at the Salem Inn, then walks out. EJ smirks as he picks it up. But something feels very off about this. Welcome to the Days of Our Lives Daily YAPP for a quick, and by that, I mean you're already halfway done, recap of the most amazing or what the heck did we just watch moments on today's episode. Let's get to it. This is the second year in a row that Melinda Trask has been involved with an adoption story gone wrong. From 2023 to 2024, Melinda was consumed with making sure Sloan Peterson could hold on to Eric by passing off his own son, with Nicole as a baby they had adopted. She was willing to risk her law license and her freedom to do this for a woman she barely even knew. Now, she is doing the same for Sophia, a teenager she barely knows. While we understand Melinda's initial inclination to take Sophia on as a client stemmed from her own experience as a pregnant teenager with strict Asian parents who wanted to keep the baby in the family, as Amy Choi had wanted, it doesn't explain her motivation and new obsession with lying for Sophia. Melinda is once again risking it all to keep a baby's identity a secret, and we don't understand why. This seems to now be Melinda's only purpose in Salem. When Sophia told her that she confessed the truth to a very curious Sarah, Melinda nearly had a coronary that Sophia's baby wouldn't remain hidden in plain sight. That's what prompted us to ask why the heck Melinda is doing this again after things backfired on her so spectacularly the last time. Is she a glutton for punishment, or does Days of Our Lives truly not know what to do with this character? Want more details? We got you! Soap Central has the best full DOOL recaps on the internet. You can even go back over 30 years and read each and every one of them. If you can't wait until the next episode, we have daily spoilers too. And whatever you do this weekend, do not. Seriously, do not. Forget to read the 2 scoops for some laughs in the as close as we can come to being a watching party without actually being a show. And the best part is if you agree or disagree, we want to know. As always, share your comments below. Days of Our Lives spoilers for Wednesday, August 6th imply some major bombshells on the horizon in Salem. 2 characters have a strategy session, while another complains about their situation, and someone is quick on their feet. What's set to go down on Wednesday? Time to find out. Days of Our Lives spoilers for Wednesday, August 6th imply that EJ DiMera and Johnny DiMera will have a strategy session about Johnny's current legal battle. Can the 2 come up with a way to exonerate the young man? Here's hoping they can. Meanwhile, Johnny's mother-in-law, Paulina Price, will be completely stressed out over her family's predicament, and thankfully, Abe Carver will be on hand to provide some reassurance. Across town, Gabi Hernandez will have a vent session with none other than Rafe Hernandez and Leo Stark. She's dealing with a lot of Gabi chic now that Titan has taken over DiMera. But will she complain about work? Or is this more about Ariana Ari Horton? Her 18-year-old daughter got kidnapped recently, and Gabi has always been overly protective. Ari isn't a child, but she'll always be Gabi's baby, so the mom may vent her concerns about her daughter. With that said, will Leo and Rafe have good advice to offer? Lastly, Days of Our Lives spoilers for Wednesday say that Sophia Choi will have to think quickly on her feet when Tate Black starts asking for information. This is likely about their baby's adoption, as things aren't sitting right for Tate, and he's not wrong to feel as if something is off. After all, Sophia has lied about when she gave birth, where their baby went, and even the child's gender. The only person who knows about Sophia's lie is Sarah Horton Kyriakis, but she's bound by patient confidentiality, so it sounds like this storyline is about to get stickier by the moment.